Inside Out 2 is hitting theaters this weekend, but how is it going to make you feel? I'll let you know right now. This video is brought to you by Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Dan and use code Dan for a special offer, and stay tuned after the video for more info. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my review for Inside Out 2. The embargo has just dropped and I'm free to talk about my thoughts on the latest film from Pixar Animation, which comes from veteran animator but first-time featured director Kelsey Mann, with a script from first-time Pixar writer Dave Holstein and the co-writer of the original Inside Out, Meg LaFave. If there was worry that this movie was going to falter without the original director and co-writer Pete Docter, I think that question is answered pretty early in the movie's runtime. This is, of course, a follow-up to 2015's Inside Out, which now finds Riley in her teenage years when her emotions predictably begin to run even more wild. Joining joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear are anxiety, envy, ennui, and embarrassment, and there's an inevitable clash between the old emotions and the new emotions to determine who will guide Riley through this crucial time in her life. If you know me, you know that I love the first Inside Out. I think it's part of the collage of movies that you see every time a video starts on this channel. It's actually my favorite Pixar film of all time. But as with all sequels to movies that I love, I was both looking forward to and slightly dreading Inside Out 2, because I always worry that a follow-up could end up being either a pale imitation of the original or maybe even something that in some way spoils the way that I think about that first movie. I mean, it's a weird mix of, well, emotions, and Inside Out's brilliantly executed themes about learning how to comprehend human emotion, that's a pretty tough act to follow. Well, I'm happy to report that sadness took a back seat for me, because I think that Inside Out 2 is more than worthy of the original film, even if it can't quite surpass it. It's easy to see what the lazier version of the story would be like. It would be a continuation, really, of what we saw in the credits of Inside Out. Riley meets a boy, and it's awkward teenage dating in the dating years, and we have the same emotions going through some funny situations. It would have been cute and probably passable, but like the first film, this story also has some bigger ambitions when it comes to human nature. Romance takes a backseat, and instead we find Riley torn between her old life and a new life as she attends a hockey training camp with both her old best friends and the new girls on the high school team that she's desperate to impress. Will she give up old friends to make new ones? Is she going to be able to prove herself in high school, someplace where nobody knows who she is? These are very relatable questions, and it also sets the stage perfectly for anxiety, the new emotion voiced by Maya Hawke, to take center stage. While the other new emotions are fun additions, this is anxiety's show, and Hawke turns in a great vocal performance as she sets about radically reforming Riley's outlook on life while the insecurities mount.
You make Riley happy, sadness makes her sad, fear protects her from the scary stuff she can see, and my job is to protect her from the scary stuff she can't see. I plan for the future.
I think that this is a really smart decision, because we've seen awkward teen romance in movies before. We've seen it in Pixar movies before. But when you tackle things like adapting to a new social group, questioning your own worth, and bearing the outsized weight of every problem feeling unsolvable because it's the first time you faced it, you go beyond something that's just a cute setup, and it becomes something much more relatable, something closer to what everybody has gone through in their lives. And it's not just a teenage girl story, it's a human story. It's a coming of age story, and it tackles things that don't just involve new emotions, but also concepts like burying emotions deep inside and the consequences when they all come flooding out. If Inside Out was learning about how to understand your emotions, Inside Out 2 is about how your emotions can change your understanding of yourself. And with the introduction of the belief system, we see Riley's core values beginning to take shape as the new emotions turn the very human process of figuring out who you are as you mature into the same kind of big screen adventure that makes these complicated themes accessible to kids. I actually think this movie is going to be pretty helpful to the kids who were 4 or 5 years old when the first movie came out that are now 13 or 14 years old. And it's weird to think about a Pixar film or any animated film that is able to educate potentially young kids about concepts like emotional intelligence. I mean, I think that you could really have some interesting discussions on the car ride home with maybe some of the older kids, but it's still a fun and funny movie for the younger kids. I don't think they're going to be lost. I think that they're going to enjoy the fun adventures and the funny characters. And yes, Inside Out 2 is funny, despite the sometimes heavier emotional moments. The script finds both new areas of Riley's mind to explore and repurposed areas that have matured since the last film.
That's a sarcasm! It can open for miles! Run for your lives!
Please! We really need your help! We really need your help!
What's their problem?
I was a particular fan of a character called Pouchy, who just wants to lend a helping hand, and there's a video game character that's introduced as well that has some really funny visual gags associated with them that really made me laugh a lot. Amy Poehler continues to anchor the film as the put-upon but endlessly optimistic Joy, who faces her biggest challenges yet in this movie, with Phyllis Smith still providing the polar opposite of sadness, and Lewis Black cutting in with sharp jabs that are close to a 100% success rate when it comes to laughs. Tony Hale and Liza Lapierre replace Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling as Fear and Disgust, and Io Adebri and Paul Walter Hauser join Maya Hawke as the other new emotions, with each getting a few moments to shine throughout the movie. Also, as unfair as it is to take for granted with Pixar, Inside Out 2 is a beautiful film. I mean, Pixar proves why they are really the best in animation right now. It is consistent with the style of the first movie, but much more detailed and a little richer. Even the textures of the characters have been given an upgrade, and the movie makes use of a few different animation styles, including 2D and video game animation. Pixar movies are expensive to make, but the money is right up there on the screen. And even if this had just been a passable movie, it still would have been a great demonstration about what the capabilities of computer animation are, much in the same way that I felt Elemental was last year. The story didn't really hook me in, but I couldn't really disagree or argue with the craft of the movie. The story, I think, is a lot stronger in this movie, and so it's the best of both worlds. I've often talked about judging Pixar on a bit of a sliding scale. There are good Pixar films, not so good ones, and then a third category that stands above the rest and having an extra gear that connects with adults and kids equally. And I think that Inside Out 2 belongs on that third tier in the more rarefied air. I think it's Pixar's best film since Coco back in 2017, and that's not to slight movies like Onward and Soul and Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4 and Turning Red. I enjoyed all of those films, and a lot of them quite thoroughly. But this is the first time I felt that old Pixar magic in a long time, that combination of cutting-edge animation, humor, and real heart, as well as an ability to meet each viewer where they are in life and speak to them directly. I don't know what the box office holds in store for this movie, but I think creatively, this represents a recovery from the creative, I'm not going to say slump, but creative plateau that I think many people have sensed from Pixar in the last several years. And regardless of box office performance, I think it's also proof that this is a studio that can still generate magic and true emotion. And so looking at my personal scale, I'm actually nudging Inside Out 2 into the lower reaches of See It Now territory. I don't really have much bad to say about the movie. I think if you like the first one that you'll enjoy it. I think kids will like it. I think adults will like it. And perhaps alongside Bad Boys Ride or Die, Inside Out 2 will represent some sort of recovery as we get further and further into Hollywood's long, long summer. So those are my thoughts on Inside Out 2. What do you think? Are you going to be heading out to the theater to see it this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, Miracle Made. I've been on the road this week, and one thing I've really been missing are my Miracle Made sheets. These hotel sheets are nice, but they don't compare to the softness or comfort I have with the sheets on my bed at home. Miracle Made sheets were inspired by NASA and are made with silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can stay cool during these hot summer nights. They also resist up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, which means they stay fresh longer, have to be washed less often, and smell better. And I'm glad you don't have to wash these sheets as much, because I put my Miracle Made sheets right back on the bed as soon as they come out of the dryer, and you can bet that they will be on there all summer, so I can sleep great without having to wake up sweating in the middle of the night. Go to trymiracle.com/Dan to try Miracle Made sheets today, and whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Dan at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle's so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Dan and use the code Dan to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Dan to treat yourself. Thanks to Miracle Made for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching. Also, be sure to check out the description for a link to buy tickets for a live event I'm doing with my buddy Christian Harloff in a little bit over a week in New York City on Friday, June 21st. We'd love to see you out there, and I'd love to see you right here on the channel. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.